Hello, happy Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. How is everybody? Juicy Russell, DRZ in the chat. Um, so, Hans, good afternoon. So, you know how it used to be when January would come around, you would try really hard not to write your checks with the previous year's date. And now we don't really write checks much anymore. Ironically, the one check that I do write a year is usually the tax bill in December, so I don't have that problem. Well, I noticed this morning as I was getting things ready for the live that for the past 3 weeks, and nobody caught this. Nobody caught this. I have been putting down the repair stream date as January 2025. Gabriel, howdy, how you doing? So that was kind of fun. You just thought I had a time machine? I wish I had a time machine. That would be great. It's Thursday. Tomorrow is tomorrow's scheduled to be brutally cold. The high is, I think the high now here is minus 17. So it has moved up and down, but the high is minus 17. In fact, like most schools are already closed. Lisa's office decided that they were going to close because they have a lot of elderly patients and they really don't want these folks, traveling out here, and you'll be lucky to get the car stinking started. So, but we will trog on, and we will be here at some point. Yeah, how do you think I get all those great desk sets? Yeah, time machine. So. What do we got going on today? So I was playing around this morning with a bucket of hard rubber parts that I've acquired. And I've never really spent a lot of time looking at. And, sometimes when you buy parts, you buy parts for the future. And so, I bought the parts and I put them on the shelf. And so, I looked at them this morning because I was looking for something and I had a little bit of time. And I'm looking for a feed for a pen, which we're still going to continue to do today. This is going to be a little side project. I've got a couple side projects now. But I ended up pulling out, sorting a little bit in that bin, finding a number of diamond point pens, including some good caps. And I made, where the heck is it? Here it is. I made a really cool pen, and when we get done with the general business at hand, we've got a little side project to see if I can find a section and a feed and maybe a nib, and maybe we'll make something really cool. And it's something I am certain almost nobody has ever seen, at least that's watching this right now, and wouldn't ever consider it. So. I've got like 1, 2, 3, like 3 side projects I want to look at after we finish up some things. I got a new pen in today for repair, so we'll look at that. We'll start that. Oh, excuse me. I finally did get some sleep last night, which is great. So we are good to go. Don't worry about this mess over here. We'll deal with that in a minute. This guy here, I was looking for a new, I thought I had another pen, and I did find one. However, I found it in a place that I wasn't expecting to look, and so I think there are more somewhere. But the pen that I found did not actually have a new diamond point nib, and if I'm going to go through this much trouble, that's a really cool nib. It's a really cool feed. I want it to match. So it actually had a replacement gold nib. And it was gray like I thought it was. But I think I have another one somewhere. So we're not going to do this guy today. We're going to assemble these 3, 4, 5, and then test this international thing here. I'm going to look for some nibs for those Esterbrooks. Start a new repair, which hopefully won't take too long, and then build a pen, try to find another feed, and we'll go from there. All right? That sound good? Okay. And if I do it right, and the reason I wanted to do this is because I have 2 personal pens sitting on my bench here that I would rather have at home and not on my bench. And anything I can do to minimize the clutter in here is great. Why is that? Just going to put a little silicone on there and help me get this. I don't really see anything in the threads. But it's a little tight, so like I don't need to even think about sealing this up. Hopefully this lapis will make for a good user. That in there. Oops. A little talc all over the place here. I told Lisa last night that I was working on a wherever. I said it's probably the first time we're ever going to have sold a wherever ever. And she reminded me that that was not the case. We have sold them before, but they were the wherever lady fairs. Because she used to have a collection of script certs, and then subsequently ended up with some lady fairs because they're really kind of the wherever equivalent. It's always tricky getting the nib lined up with the lever or the imprint, especially when it won't move. Once it's in. Because if it's not quite lined up perfectly, it gets messes with your OCD. You have a really nice group of new old stock wherevers that could be yours. Maybe add a wherever tab to your website. I think my credibility as a vintage person might be in jeopardy if I were to get known for selling wherevers. I don't know. Okay. I think I'm going to try very hard to decrease my holdings of wherever pens. All right, so this is a universal made in Berlin. Black with the steel nib. It just says Berlin. It says Universal Berlin. And then what I presume it means 25-year guarantee. Jahre. Jahre. Guarantee. Garantie. It does have a cool blind cap. I guess we should point this out just for fun. Look at this little knurling on the end of the blind cap. Hard rubber section. I think the barrel is plastic. Kind of fun. Jahre's year. Okay, yeah. 25-year guarantee on this nib. It doesn't say when the guarantee starts, though, so... Holds a ton of ink, too. I don't know what kind of price you put on something like that, but steel nib, it's kind of fun. It's different. It must be still in force. Yeah, I bet it is. Well, this is a smooth nib. Threads are kind of iffy. They hold, but it slips. And it's all in this barrel here. It is cool to have Canadian imprint on the barrel, though. But nice nib. You know, it makes me wonder if I shouldn't just, You know, you can get a different barrel. We've got a US nib. I'd have a more saleable pen. Or just keep it for parts, but you know, this is the eternal question. How much am I going to spend to get it perfect? Expanding those threads would be less than fun. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, it's a great pen. It's really lovely. Yeah, if you're looking for a collector piece, this isn't it. Will it dry out? Who knows? Probably. Maybe. Maybe not. It feels lovely. I say we sell it as is. It will be a very good value for someone. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I think sometimes you just have to let stuff go. Because if I only sold stuff that was perfect, then uh-oh. That's no good. Yeah, I think this is one of those cases where you gotta do this thing. And I think that's it. Must hold excess. Or remove excess ink. All right. Wherever. Wherever, whenever. So there's a little lever box spread on this. So that is a small issue. It's Zenith. The Zenith 195, which might actually be the price. Fairly stiff nib. We'll find the right price for it. All right, another third tier. It is a good looking eagle. A little softness to it. It's not maybe nicer than the Zenith nib, but still a little firm. Really kind of a three lever job. All right, I need a international converter. Only good enough. It's got a really deep section, so it's hard to see how much ink is actually in this converter. Oops. N. Well, it's a smooth nib for a steel nib. Creaks and creaks. So it'll be a little, kind of a little pocket pen. Got a threaded cap. Or I guess it's pretty big for a pocket pen. I'll have to see if it fits. K5 or something like that. In other words, it's just an international cartridge. We'll spin these out. And last but not, I don't know if this will fit. It won't fit. Gonna do this the old-fashioned way. All right. Okay, I need to get a tray. Get to these in a minute. Oh! Well, that was a bucket full of sections and feeds. I need a tray. I'll be right back. Thankfully, I was sorting through a bag of sections and feeds, and the ones I had already looked at, I had put back in the bag, so when it dumped over, it fell straight down. And they didn't go very far, so. Although that's going to be one of those things in about like 6 months, I'm going to see a feed or a section on the ground. And I'm going to wonder where it came from. Okay. This 100-year just came in, so I want to get started on this, and then we'll get cooking on the rest of the events for today. It looks pretty clean, so. Sometimes they can be hard to open. I expected it's. Yeah, somebody sealed it shut. I'm going to try a little more heat, but I think soaking is going to end up having to be the case here. Okay, I'm gonna let it soak. I got a feeling this is gonna be one of those that's gonna soak for several days because I can actually see the adhesive that somebody tried to use. So let's just let that soak. All right. I need to find some nibs. And then this tray can come off my bench. Just need to find some fine nibs. Let's try those. Hans, if you're still there, which nib goes with this repeat pen? Extra fine, fine, and medium. Okay. Extra fine for the repeat. All right, very good. Thank you. You don't need to just write down what you need. You don't need to go too nuts on links. Just tell me you need 3 hemostats, and I mean, if you want to do part numbers or model numbers are fine too. Just leave them open here. We're 4 for 4 so far, so that's good. You got contacted last night by a gentleman who was downsizing his 1,600 pen collection. You got a Conway 84 and a Wyvern number 5 hard rubber mint condition at very nice prices. Wow. Ooh, Nelly. Extra fine. He's going to drip feed you old hard rubber pens. Going to get expensive. Nice. Yeah, 1550, not my favorite either. However, these are new old stock. In there, I mean, you know, if you got a heavy hand, this is not the nib for you, but this is nice. So that'll work out, I think, hopefully real well. You don't get those extra fine people, but you can't argue with someone. Yeah, yeah. So I'll include this with you. If you want, I can number them, because there's 2 different fine nibs, so that'll be obvious. But there's 2 of the same 1555 and 2 of the same 2668. So if you care, I mean, they write exactly the same, which is kind of unusual. No need to label? Okay. Yeah, these are all, I think these are all, I think they're all new old stock nibs, so. And if you really want to know, they came from you. So you, you facilitated the arrival of these nibs, so you might as well benefit from it. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good deal. I don't really remember. They're usually good deals, so I mean, they're equitable. I mean, there's some, you know, there's some junk in there, but it overall nets out, and your guy doesn't have to deal with it. There's not much moisture in these nibs, but just in case. That, and I didn't want to go searching through 50 pens to find 7 nibs, so this was just easier. Hey, we got a subscriber. Jason, you're doing it again. Thank you, sir. Welcome on this cold and potentially snowy day. Well, we're going to get to the fun stuff a lot faster than I thought. You're a day out from the cold? Well, I'm, as soon as I get home tonight, I am plugging the car into the charger. Yeah, I got the car back, and I actually was at the dealership this morning. Which was not my favorite thing, but because Thursday's my early day, and it was a little bit light on the shipping. So I was literally done with my shipping by 7:30, but then I had to run over to the dealership, you know, and so if it's a light shipping day and it's a Thursday, then I got a lot of time to do other stuff and get caught up on things, but not to be today. And but it's got this loud, nasty creak to it. And so I sent him a message. I said, it's just not acceptable. It wasn't like this before. We got to get this fixed. And so they said, well, why don't you come down? We'll do a test drive. We'll drive with you, and we'll see if we can, we'll listen to the noise. We'll see if we can troubleshoot it, and then we'll get it taken care of. They're very, very nice about it. So I come down, and Need another tray. Hang on. I come down at 8, get the guy, and I left a little bit early because I'm thinking, well, you know what's going to happen. You go to the dealership and you say, my car's making this noise, and then it doesn't make the noise. Well, guess what? Every street near the dealership, and it's like there's the, you know, this dealer has every make. They have a dealership on this road. Everything from Nissan, VW, Porsche, BMW, Audi, Acura, Hyundai, what is it? Genesis. They've got everything on this one strip. So and of course the roads are perfectly smooth. And so my car's not making any noise. So I had to kind of drive around to find some place where I could, you know, find a pothole or a manhole cover to hit so that they could see this noise. Hear this noise, and finally I found something, and apparently there's some plastic piece that got rattled about, but they can't fix it. They have to order a new part, so I have to go back. But at least we know what it is. He taped it up, and that's that. So it's better. It's better. It was the quietest ride I have had in that car. Yeah, well, I was concerned it was like, you know, some kind of suspension or control arm or some issue, because I know they used used parts, because that's what insurance companies do to keep the cost down. It cut the cost in half, and it did sound like a serious problem. It was nasty. Like Lisa's like, yeah, we're not driving out of town with this thing. So apparently the adjuster is supposed to be coming into the dealership today, and they're going to get everything taken care of once and for all, including the tire they didn't fix the first time around. And we'll see. All right. Here's the most interesting pen you've never seen. So this pen here is well, I'll start with this. So this is how I got to here. This is a red hard rubber Edison from Petersburg, Virginia. And I'm somewhat questionable whether or not this is actually the correct section, but it has this annoying little issue where, and this is not the original feed that was with the pen, but the feed is too it's too short. Actually, it's almost not too thin, too narrow in diameter, but it's not long enough so that when it gets to the end and stops, your nib just, it looks ridiculous. So it needs a new feed. I'm trying to find a feed, but it has to be one that's period appropriate for a 1920s red hard rubber pen. Let's just forget the fact, we know it's not going to be red because the section was black. So, forget that nonsense. Because I have a red hard rubber feed, but that doesn't make any sense with the black section. So I'm looking through a bucket of parts, and it's caps, it's barrels, like almost no nibs in there. And I find this barrel. You can see how crisp the chasing is on it. Really nice. And let's zoom in. Oh, let me turn it around. And look at that. Wherever, with the dash between it. WE. Interesting, there's a chase mark. Or there's a mark right here. Yes, yeah, this is the same one I sent you the picture of. Yeah. Right? It's nuts. And so I'm thinking, well, that's kind of cool. Like if you look at wherever's, the green one is okay. It's probably the best wherever you've probably ever seen, because most of them are usually pretty crappy. particularly in the 30s, in 40s. They're especially crappy. But I thought, well, this is kind of neat, and I know they made hard rubber wear-evers, but they're so hard to find. Rare is almost appropriate, and so I'm looking through. I keep looking, and as I'm going through this barrel, I'm finding patterns. You know, I must have found 7 diamond point barrels and 1 good cap, and then all of a sudden I find this. Let's just kind of thread this on and take a look. The clip is a little askew. How about them apples? Same shape. So, I mean, now it's entirely possible that this pen was at one point together in the bucket and it came apart. And I'm just going to go with that because the chance of me finding a cap for this barrel is astronomical. And the cap is in good condition. I mean, there's no cracks in either of these 2 parts. And it's actually a decent looking pen. It's thick. Look at the thickness of this cap. It's kind of cool. So, our little adventure for today. Well, first off, our adventure is to see if we can find a section, and if it is in very nice shape. This is a little loosey-goosey here. But I'm going to continue. I've got a couple of pens that I think might have feeds that are going to work for this pen. Fingers crossed because I'm running out of options. I've got like 4 or 5 pens here. And then we're going to see if we can find a section that fits. Yeah, it is as well made as most second-tier pens of the era. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then I have... I might have and what I would do just to be funny is put a warranted 14 karat gold nib in this thing. It probably never had a gold nib, but that would be hilarious. So we'll see if we can get that to work. This really needs to happen. The Edison needs to happen. And then I've got another pen that I'm going to do a nib swap on. That's mine. So that's the plan of attack for this afternoon. Let's just set this aside for now. But I've got a number of hard rubber pens here. I think that's it. These 4 that might have suitable replacement feeds on them. And these are kind of unmarked. Now this one's got a patent date on the cap, so and this was my dilemma earlier. You bet it probably had a warranted nib. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like this one almost looks like it's wood. Like literally wood. This one actually has a patent date on the cap. So now I got to look this up. So October 9th, 1909. It's October 9th, 19... Is that a 6? Yeah, steel nibs were. Well, it clearly says October 9th, 1909, and that's not a patent date, which is really weird. But my chances of finding a nib for this are like few and far between. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. This one's actually a nice looking pen. This is a Webster. I think this feed is going to be too thick. Missing a big gold band. This is kind of a cheapie with a Waterman accommodation clip, and this is a nice big pen, but unmarked. Good afternoon, Indy. So I gonna have to knock these out and try every one of them. But I got a feeling these are all too big. Yep. This one actually looks like a Waterman feed. I didn't even need to knock that. That just slipped right out. Okay, so now that's not too bad. That might actually work. So I actually can see an imprint on the barrel, so maybe this will help. But it's it says the, I can read the, and then there's the Hub fountain pen. is what it looks like it reads. The hub. This might work. Oops. I'm dropping everything today. So let's see. It goes in there. It's tight. If I can get it to go in this last little bit. Then I think that'll work. I might have to shave it down. Yeah, it's not going in. Okay. Well, it's just ever so tiny. They're too big. Like it gets down to this point and it's done. It's all she wrote. Oh, because for very good reason, there's a step. There is a step there. Which is right there. That far in. So that far is okay. Well, I'm just going to try to Staying a little bit down. Because it only needs to go in a little bit. That's all the further I'm going to. So then now that fits in nicely. So you just added a tool to your list to get for you while you're at the Gem and Mineral Show. There's a diamond impregnated bar that you bought last year that makes short work of this kind of thing. Okay. It's not terribly expensive, is it? Hey. There we go. Okay, so now I'm happy. I'm happy now. Look at this. So originally, when I got this, we've got the original nib. And there's the feed. And so that feed looks period appropriate. The original one that came with the pen it had fins on it. $4, yes. It's a good fit. Yeah, it's a nice tight fit. It's not going to slip now. The nib is a little bit wonky, but it looks great. There's a little bit of a tiny mark there, but this pen is really for show and not for go anyway. I'm happy with that. I think that ends that challenge. That is not the right feed for that pen, but heck, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm just gonna glue that shellac that sack on. And these pens can go, well, I don't know where they're going to go. They're going to go right down. So this guy's done. Russell, I didn't get a chance to look at the Peter Prescott car collection. It slipped my mind, quite frankly. Okay. This one needs to go home next to its brothers and sisters. Only took a couple hours of digging to find that. Next up in the personal challenge department is this guy. So, some of you may recall this is a diamond point And it is the ink tab, the wartime ink tab pen. It's an eyedropper. It's missing the top of the threaded cap to where the ink tablets would go. But when I got this pen, it had a Conklin nib, and I needed a Conklin nib for one of the Crescents that I recently got. So I gratefully robbed Peter to pay Paul, but then now I have this cool diamond point without a nib. So after looking today, I discovered I have two possible candidates. Both of these have warranted 14 karat nibs, which my sources say was the correct nib for this pen. And the other one that I don't use can probably be used for the wherever. So, first things first, let's knock this out. Okay. And neither of these two pens are all that much value other than the nibs. So while they're interesting, you know, pierced cap band and kind of a neat material, they use pretty cruddy plated trim. And yeah, and this one just the J bar just broke off on me too. So this one would require a whole lot of effort to get going. So this one looks a little bit, this one's definitely older. Technically, neither one is correct, but either one is closer to correct than the Conklin nib that was in it. And this one's kind of stubbish, so. But it's short. It's super short. That would work. That might be the one, but I'm going to knock this one out just in case. That's actually a pretty good fit on this one. I don't think this one's too big. Although that looks good too. What I should do is look. Had a saved. There we go. Trench pen. So this was 14 years ago. Of course, the links are broken on Fountain Pen Network. I hate that. You ever go look for an old. An old link on there, and it cut out the first. I knew there was a picture on this Fountain Pen Network. But it's of no help because the image is so blurry you can't tell. I like the size of this nib better, but it says 14 warranted 14K USA, which is really a much later style of imprint. Much later than I want it to be. Let's clean this up and let's see if we can get this to look good. Yeah, I kind of want one that says warranted too. Yeah, it's really what I'm looking for. Now this one says warranted 14K4. It's the smallest number 4 nib I have ever seen. I mean, look how tiny that is. I mean, it fits. I might just put it in there for now. Let's just once it's cleaned up here, let's just see what it looks like. And maybe I can live with it for a while. I don't know. Makes you wonder what the number 2 size was in this model. I want one this size, but without the USA. And it looks a little weird. It's stamped weird. And this is kind of stubbish. I mean, who knows? This might be right. Does anybody use a pen log to record the details of pens in their collection? I'd be interested to know what you're using, Excel or something else. Yeah, that's a good question. Who's using what? I don't record that stuff anymore. I got burned on that before in the past. Okay, so here's the first problem. Just polishing the nib because it sits. I guess it's probably okay. It sits super low in there. You would probably sell me all of your warranty nibs with the price of gold where it is now, but I don't need them. What do you think? It looks a little small, doesn't it? Sorry, I hate my camera. It doesn't look too bad. It seems a smidge. I tell you what, I'm going to leave it because at least it's got a nib. Yeah, I mean, it fits. I mean, but it's so loose I can pull it out. Well, I think it's better off than where it was before. I had no nib before, so it's definitely better off. Wow. Okay, so 2 pens today I've sort of fixed. That Edison is definitely right on, spot on. You use your feeble mind to store your collection? Yeah, so I mean, I used to do that. And I know people do that kind of thing. The problem was that my ex-wife knew I had a sheet. And so when it came time for all the fun negotiations, she knew there was a sheet, and the sheet had values in it. Presumed values. I mean, the only values were ones that were in my head based on if I get around to restoring it someday and the market's really, really, really good. That kind of thing. She offered to take, actually, the funny thing is, she offered to take the entire collection. I should have given it to her. Well, I gotta wait. I might use that nib on the wherever. Okay. So yeah, I don't record values anymore. None of that nonsense. And it was like a full time job. Trying to record when you bought something, how much it was, who you got it from. I don't got time for that stuff. Nonsense. All right, we're gonna find a. Gosh, it's 2:30. I already fixed all these pens. What are we gonna do? So here is my bucket of sections and feeds. That would be a good name for the wherever, wouldn't it? Yeah. So that's not a terrible contender. Probably would have had a little more of a flare on the end of the section. Now that's a short section, but that actually fits pretty well. It's got that nice. Would that look weird to have a short section like that? Yeah, I don't like that. Scoopy. That's a possibility. You can use the easy entry program and you can look up inks you've already entered. So you just click and add to your collection. Yeah, there was some databases that I used to look at, but and I have some clients who have excuse me, apps on their phone that they use, and some really weird feeds and stuff in here. I mean, look at this little guy. I mean, that's nothing to it. Oh, 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 oh. That's a, and it's almost the right size to begin with. That's a hot contender. Super narrow, though. That feed and nib might not fit in there. This might be the best bet here, this one. Shave this down. I've got a bigger opening. Although this is early too, and it's got that flange on the end. Yeah, that's goofy. Oh, 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 oh. That's not terrible. Seems a little long. This looks better. Actually, it looks like a Waterman. Maybe a Waterman feed. Let's pound this one out. Let's see what this looks like. I cannot believe I am potentially putting a wherever. You got to run. All right. See you tomorrow. Potentially putting a wherever in my collection. So yes, this is what you go through sometimes when you're looking for parts. Yeah, so this doesn't fit in there very well. It won't fit. This is the same problem we had with, you see there's a gap there, with that number 8 nib on that more. I'm gonna pour this out again, and I'm gonna start all over. Different set of criteria this time around. Good evening. How are you? So I'm going to start over, and we're going to eliminate all the threaded sections and the tapered sections. Because that's not right either. That just looks goofy. So the question is going to be, can we get this nib into a section that will fit into that barrel? And also maybe stealing a feed. This almost would work, but it's too... I can trim that down, but it's got too much flare on the section. So this section's not going to work. That feed's not bad, though. It might be too big. It's too big. So before I was judging based on style. Now I'm judging based on, eliminating based on size. And then we'll figure out what we got after that. Because if the bottom of this top part here on the section will sit flush with the threads, and this part's too big, this middle section is too big, we can smooth that out. We can. That's not bad. It won't fit that. And it absolutely won't fit that nib. That's got a broken nipple. That's not going to work. No, that's cracked. That's not going to work. That could work. Broken feed. It looks big. That won't fit. And the nib certainly won't fit. Yeah, but this doesn't fit. Oh, see, now we're talking. That might work. That fits. It fits on that feed. We clean this up. That's the best one yet, I think. It's a little short, but what do we care? Maybe. I say we do that. Let me put, but I'm going to keep these other ones separate just in case. So that definitely doesn't work. It's shorter than I'd like, but I think I like that profile. I'm going to drop that in the ultrasonic. That nib in there. This is just the kind of afternoon nonsense at the end of a week that there's another. That one was too big anyway. That I like to do. And somehow I'm adding a hard rubber wherever to my collection. All right, so while that's cooking along, well, that was broken. Let's see if we can clean up that trim. I remember hearing a long time ago about wherever making hard rubber pens and thinking that might be the coolest thing ever. Okay, maybe it's not the coolest thing ever, but life's too short to be all serious. I doubt this was originally gold plated. It's got some brassing on it. It looks ugly, so I'm just going to wipe it off, polish it off. There seems to be a what looks like a cork in place at the top of the cap. That looks nice, huh? It was kind of similar to this here, so we'll see if we can get this to clean up. But again, I highly doubt these were gold filled pieces. They look nickel, that they've just tarnished over time. I love that hyphen in between where and ever. That's just awesome. Oops. Shaking the camera. Good afternoon, Vlad. How are you? Ooh, looking nice now. Much better. This is going to be a respectable looking pen here, maybe. Yeah. It's a little crazy. Little crazy. Omaha, how do you get rid of the oxidation in the rubber? Well, if you want to do that, and I'm not going to do it on this case. This is just actually is probably considered, could be considered a rare pen. You can use something, the Dr. G's Not Just Deoxidizer works really well. We use it here often on the stream. With good results. I'm gonna get a pen here. I'm gonna show you. Actually, it would be interesting to do sometime. This isn't really. This is really pretty crisp chasing. I would not drop this in the deoxidizer. I have seen people doing OxyClean soaks. Nah, I mean, I probably wouldn't be what I use. I use the Dr. G's solution is really, really excellent. It's a little more expensive, but it works, and it's been put together by pen people for pen people. Here's examples of oxidized hard rubber. Those are supposed to be black. All you do is I don't have a full bottle here, but I put mine in a little, this is a little tub, and I keep it in there. Oh, well, yeah, soaps. And then that's all there is to it. And then you have to wipe it off. It gets kind of slimy as the oxidation comes off. But yeah, look how this one just completely turned almost white. And that's the color. I mean, even this is oxidized a little bit. What's weird about this one is it's pretty much 365 degrees. 360 degrees. I know, there's not 365 degrees. It's 360. But you can see even, it's a little bit darker there. But like this sat out in a window or something on a desk, or I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't use, I mean, Dr. G's. Use Dr. G. Shameless self-promotion because I sell it. And it works great. So I guess, I wonder if should I put a sack in this thing? I mean, I need a J bar. But it's got a narrow opening. It probably needs a 54 or 62, but that's too big for it. All right, let's see how the rest of this part is coming along. Might need to shave that down a little bit. Real simple feed, which is what I want. Got some ink residue on the back here. I'm just going to scrape it off. Okay. This goes under the definition of close enough, I think. All right, Juicy. See you later. Yeah, I'm going to be done here shortly. Oh, it got loose. Not what I was expecting. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set it there. Because this too is not quite the right nib like this one. Although this one wasn't bad. May replace it somewhere down the line. I'm just going to heat this up and see if... This will go in. Gonna file it down a little bit. Oh, hang on. Hello? It really doesn't like the end of this section. Oops. That actually doesn't look too bad. This is the stupidest thing I've done all year. So just because I don't want that lever flapping, I'm going to put a bar in there. Let me grab a bar. This one might actually be period appropriate. Oh, I have plenty more chances as it's only 22 days old. I mean, come on, though. You got to admit, it's a pretty dumb. That's too big. That's too big. It's a pretty dumb idea. Oh, it's too big. It's just too big. It's such a weird size. I could trim that down and bend it again. I don't like how that, it's just too much tension. See if I got a bar in here. I got a sack. Well, they're so stiff though. You've got to get it in that opening without breaking the barrel. It's not going to work. Well, what I need is something of this caliber on this 40. Is way too short. Simple one piece. Have a good one heading off on the bike. Yeah, it's been entertaining. Who would have thought? Or wherever. Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I need, but this is way too short. Because now I can't get I can't get it out. I can see it. Okay. There we go. Right idea. It just needs to be a lot longer. Or just not put one in at all. I wonder if I could take... It really needs to be a 48. 50, 54. I hate having to cut one of these up just for the exercise. But it's too thin. The barrel is just too thin. The diameter's too narrow. And the only real purpose is to prevent this from flopping around. You know what? I think we're going to leave it right at that. It's not like it's something that you're going to want to write with anyway. I don't think. Well, I know I don't. The nib and feet are a little loose. I need to find a different nib for it. But, you know, from having gone from a parts bin to a matched barrel and cap, that's not terrible. And that's a pretty scarce pen. So let's see, is this tacky? And this is an example of scarce or rare does not equal valuable. Because nobody cares that there's not many of these out there. Because it's just a wearer. You know, right? The market for it is incredibly small. Now this is nice. This is actually And this nib, if you can see the tines, really spreads. It's sacked, but I'm not gonna ink it up. I can take that home. Doesn't look too bad. All right, what is it? 335. Well, you know, I tell you what. Let's see if we can get this. If this soaking did any good at all on this Waterman 100 year. Can't believe we did a. If not, we're going to let it soak, and then we're just going to call it an early day. I doubt that was enough to get it to come open, but I'm going to try to. See if I can get a little bit of a gap. The gap looks cleaner. If you can get a gap, water will get in there and water will do its thing, but you got to get a gap first. Just when I thought we were going to head out early today. But you can see all the adhesive on. section was tight enough, it really didn't even need any kind of adhesive. In there for a minute. Let's take a look at the rest of it. Now there's a little bit of dried adhesive on the inside here, so we got to remember to get that off. It's going to make it easier to get in. The pen really looks in great shape. That sack was a little porous though. This is an 18. It almost feels like it might be a little bit big, which is weird for a 100-year, but that goes in okay. And we got enough room. Let's try 17. The amount of capacity is going to be imperceptible. Let's see how that fits with the section. It blows through amazingly well, and the nib's got a really nice patina on it, so I think we can safely leave that. going to be a tight fit, but we'll see what we can do. It's pretty long, so I'll back it off just a little bit. We can look at the cap yet, but let's get this at least started. Yeah, the cap's pretty gnarly. See what we can get out with a couple Q-tips first. I really don't want to put this in the water. Boom, and just like that, it's really reduced down a lot. All right. Well, we'll let that sit. Actually, most of the ink came out of the cap, so. Let that dry air out. And Monday we can put this together and test it. And look at the cap again, but it was very clean. It just needed a new sack is really all it needed. It's been well taken care of for the majority of its life, as so it appears. And that's that. So it's almost 4, and I'm gonna wrap it up for the day. Tomorrow the plan is to have a podcast. We didn't have one last week. Tomorrow, come hell or high water, we're gonna if I have to go pick up my daughter because we're concerned that cars aren't going to start. Is really what's when it gets down to 17 below as the high. It's but if I got to go pick her up, I'll pick her up. Because she's got like all the equipment. So but plus I have some cool things to show. I have some cool things that are coming in tomorrow morning, that you won't see anywhere else. One of a kind pieces that are not available on the website, that are super cool. And I don't expect them to, there's no sales pitch. I don't expect them to last because they're just so unique. Somebody is going to grab them. There's 5 really very interesting pieces. I'm actually getting 6 pens tomorrow. 5 of them are very unique, very cool pieces. The 6th one was a package deal. And I'll give you a hint, they're Japanese. So we got some cool things. We got some cool consignment pens to show off. And it should be a good show. So that's it for me. I am going to grab my wherever, my Diamond Point and my Edison here. And take those home and put them with the rest of the new collection, and we'll go for there. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Other words, back here at the bench on Monday. Have a great evening, great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you next time. All right, take care. Thanks everyone. Bye now.